How is everyone doing tonight? All right, it's our last episode of Married at First Sight before decision day. So before we jump into anything, I want you to let me know how many of these final four couples, we can add Paige and Chris back in. How many of the five couples do you think are going to get married? And on top of that, how many of the couples do you think should get married? That's the question I'm going to cover first here. And I'm going to say that we end up with 3 couples married, but we should have 0 couples married. And I'll go even a step further to say that by the time that we have our reunion, at least one of those couples that decided to get married will get divorced. I think it's pretty obvious who I'm talking about, Briana and Vincent. I think that they're going to say yes on decision day. Erik and Virginia, I think they're going to say yes. And Ryan and Clara. The way the preview was presented, it looks like there will at least be some sort of drama involving Chris. But I think that's to be expected at this point because he's a person who just can't go on TV and not be the center of attention. All right, let's get back into our normal routine now. 4 couples remain. We'll go through one by one, talk about each couple. Who should we talk about first? I think I'm going to talk about Briana and Vincent first. I really am just having some real issues develop with this couple that I do not like. The first being that Briana seems to want to fix Vincent, and that is a major issue for me. When you're with someone, you should not be trying to fix your partner. They are who they are. Not that they're not going to change over time, and not that you're not going to influence those changes, but you should not be trying to demand or force change in that person. Anything that happens naturally, great. Anything that happens by their choice, great. But you trying to fix that person, it's just a bad, thing to do, and ultimately is something that can lead to resentment within the couple. So the situation that we're talking about is Vincent's organization skills. And, we've seen it all season long where Briana is started to really try to push Vincent's buttons and in a very bad way. It's like she's trying to push him over the edge and then is going to be pissed off about it once she actually does. I just feel like this was a very bad match. And when we start to hear Vincent talk about how he did not want to be with someone who was bossy, and that when he heard that she was bossy all the way back at the wedding, it was a real turnoff for him. While he probably shouldn't have phrased it that way, it still just makes you wonder and scratch your head about why this couple was put together in the first place. If one of his major things that he doesn't want is one of Briana's key characteristics, maybe that's a bad match, matchmakers. I heard a comment, I don't remember who said it, but earlier in the season, and it was on, where have the matchmakers been? Where have the experts been this season? And the answer was, well, they're off busy filming their other show, Unmatchables. And, I watched the first episode last week, and they put major time in with those individuals and ended up with a very positive result. I have no clue if that couple from week 1 is still together or what the story was, but they managed to help those people immensely in a short period of time. And that could have happened with our couples this season if the experts had actually bothered to be around for the first half of the season. So back to the issue at hand, and that was the fight over Vincent being unorganized. And I will say, I thought it was very good of Vincent to acknowledge his behavior and acknowledge that, he reacted very poorly in that situation. But ultimately, in my opinion, you should never expect your partner to change. Notice how I'm using the same wording as one of my favorite villains on this season, and that's Erik, who is always expecting things out of Virginia. But you should never be expecting your partner to change. That doesn't mean you may not want them to change certain things, but you should never expect that, because if you're expecting that, then you're basically saying to that person, I want to be married to you, but not the you that you currently are. And that is the same as saying that I don't want to be with you. Two last things, and that's their final night. The first one, don't ever cut your partner's hair without their permission. If I woke up and my wife had just chopped off a chunk of my hair right here, I would not be like furious, but I would not be happy about it. That's not a funny prank or joke to pull on someone. Just don't do that. That's just a no-no, and I was absolutely shocked that that's what Vincent's surprise was. And lastly, why didn't Vincent give Briana a proper goodbye? He was kind of be aloof and playful, but it really just came off as him just kind of being a childish jerk, and I really didn't like that. And that's no way to leave that relationship as they head to decision day. All right, let's jump over to our next couple. Let's go to Virginia and Erik. We opened, one of the first things with this couple is we got to see Erik talking to his friend about everything that's happened in their relationship, where he's at, what he's still looking for, and blah blah blah. But I didn't hear anything. I didn't take in anything because I was just mesmerized by the dog. The dog's eyes in particular. Like I don't even know what they were talking about. I just kept watching the dog. Like he's got that dog there, and the dog's all googly eyed, and I'm like, what is going on with that dog? And like, who knows? Erik could have been saying good things, bad things, no clue. But back to more serious on this couple. One thing that keeps coming up is their arguments. And, they both seem to think that they're on this positive journey and that they're starting to resolve these issues, but they haven't resolved anything. They haven't resolved a single thing. The closest that we got to a resolution was right at the end of the episode, Erik saying basically that we're going to do exactly what Virginia wants in terms of the living situation. That is as close as they have come to resolving something all season long. And to take it a step further, there are major fundamental issues behind these arguments. These are two people who do not see eye to eye on very, very important issues. They can't even get on board with the living situation. How are they supposed to get on board with whether or not they're going to have a family? Political views. Virginia having a cat in the bed that Erik's allergic to. Like, it's ridiculous. And on top of that, we've got all the trust issues that Erik has that he's now reframed as respect. It's no longer a trust issue, it's a respect issue, where he expects, there's that dreaded word again, expects Virginia to respect him by doing exactly what he wants to do when it comes to her lifestyle. And once again, we're back to a lot of the same things we talked about with Briana and Vincent, and that is changing your partner. If Virginia is in this stage of her life, if what she does for enjoyment and her social life is going out with her friends, That is just what she does. That's not going to change. Long story short, this is just a terrible, terrible couple. I see no redeeming qualities in them as a couple and think both are very much better off just saying no on decision day and moving on with their lives. But they seem to be living in la la land and thinking that their relationship is rainbows and unicorns when it's not. I fully expect them to say yes on decision day and be divorced by the time we get to our reunion. All right, next couple, Clara and Ryan. Here's another couple that maybe is a little bit delusional, but not nearly as bad as Virginia and Erik. One defining quality that I've noticed for Clara and Ryan is that they always present their relationship as perfect. We all know, we've seen all season long that they do have issues. Not to say that they're not good together, but they have some major issues that were not resolved in these 8 weeks, are still outstanding. And then we see Clara saying that there are no complaints. And like really, Clara, you still haven't had sex with your husband. You still haven't heard your husband say, I love you. And those were two very, very major things on your list at the start of the season, and now you're just going to ignore them. I just don't know. I just don't think that these two quite meshed. I do think they're going to say yes on decision day, but I just don't think that they were a good match in the end. The personality test was hilarious to watch. Like just that camera watching Ryan and his reaction on all these answers, very much not the person that he is, and maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing. Another thing, bowling football. Why is this a thing? Why is it a thing? We had putt-putt earlier in the season, and I don't know why it's called putt-putt, but now we got bowling football. Just absolutely silliness. So after bowling football, Ryan and Clara sit down to chat, and we start hearing Ryan talk about decision day, and everything he's saying sounded very like decision day was like a finite thing. Like decision day was going to happen and that was it. That the decision day was like a stopping point for the relationship. And clearly, Clara did not agree with that. It's not what she wanted to hear. She is very much someone that is looking for some positive reinforcement, looking for Ryan to say, I am going to say yes on decision day. She wants to know that. And, for her to just not really have a clue on where he's at in terms of decision day is just not a good position for them to be in. It's very clear to me what Clara is going to do on decision day, but not as much for Ryan. Ultimately, I think they're going to say yes on decision day, but there are still definitely some doubts hanging there for Ryan. It really bugged me that we saw Clara storm off at the end of this conversation, and then we didn't get to see the resolution of that. We didn't get to see them talk things out. We didn't get to see them talk about why Clara walked off. And we just kind of cut to their last night together, like everything's just hunky-dory, everything's perfect, and they're just ready to head off to decision day. One last thing, before the end of the season, can we just see Ryan with messy hair once? He has always got his hair, not too dissimilar from how I cut mine, but it is always just perfectly right like this. Like just once, Ryan, let's get a shot of you like this. Let's get a shot of you with hair everywhere. Just once, please. All right, on to our last couple, Haley and Jacob. We ended last week with Jacob sneaking away from the family vacation 2.0 early. And of course, that is the first thing that comes up in this episode. You could tell right away, Haley was looking for a fight, and then Jacob actually genuinely had a good reason for leaving that none of us knew about. His dogs had been left alone, hadn't had anybody checking in on them for, I think he said 16 hours. He checked the security cam, saw the two dogs just sitting by the door, waiting for him to come home, so he left, went home to look after them. We keep getting, at the end here, the editing done in a way that makes it seem like these two might stay together still, and just don't. Like, it's fine that we know they're not going to stay together. Like, why does there have to be that shred of hope for them? They really just fell off a cliff at the end of their Vegas trip and never recovered. You know, they needed some major expert intervention early on, and if that had happened, I would think that they would have been close to saying yes on decision day, but instead, here we are at the end, and they've just been kind of trying to be decent people to each other. That is it. They haven't been trying to improve their relationship. They haven't been trying to work on things. They've been trying to figure out how to not even be friends, just to be okay being around each other. And that, to me, that's just not enough to even consider remotely a yes on decision day. I will say, though, just to add that little shred of hope there, Haley was glowing on that final morning before Jake headed off before decision day. That might have been the happiest Haley we've seen all season long, and you know, that could just be that this is the end. It's finally over, or maybe something happened there on that last night or those last few nights together. We'll probably never know. But anyways, looking forward to decision day. As always, thank you so much to everybody who's been watching all season long. I appreciate the support, appreciate all the comments, all the likes, all the subscribers, all of that. Really enjoy covering this show and look forward to being able to cover a lot more shows for you in the future. So as always, I don't know what I'm saying. We'll see you later.